These are both LEGO Star Wars clone troopers. Same company made them both sold to people who love Star Wars. But one of them shows what made LEGO Star Wars so great, and the other, that's what we're talking about in today's video. Let's go back to the very beginning, 1999. The first Star Wars prequel movie, The Phantom Menace, is coming out, and LEGO makes a huge deal with Lucasfilm to make Star Wars sets. This was a big moment. Nobody really knew how well it would work. And then the sets came out. The pod racers, the X-Wing, the Gungan sub. For the first time ever, kids could actually build the ships from Star Wars with their own hands. Action figures were cool, but this was different. It was special. The minifigures, the little Lego people, were pretty simple back then. Basic face prints, not much detail, but they still had a lot of charm. You could look at one and know right away, that's Han Solo, that's Darth Vader, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. By the early 2000s, LEGO started making much bigger sets. They came out with something called the Ultimate Collector Series, or UCS for short. These were huge, detailed models meant to sit on a shelf and look amazing. Things like the Imperial Star Destroyer in 2002, these weren't just toys anymore. They were something you'd show off. The minifigures kept getting better too. More details, sharper printing, better accessories. LEGO Star Wars was getting more popular every year, and fans of all ages were getting into it. It was a great start. The base was strong. LEGO Star Wars at this time was great, but nobody knew how good it would get in 2013. This is the time period that most LEGO Star Wars fans point to and say, that's when it was the best. And honestly, they're right. Let's start with the minifigures. From 2013 to 2019, LEGO was making the best minifigures ever. The face prints on both sides, detailed designs on the torso and legs, colors that actually match the real characters from the movies. They even started making helmets where the plastic itself was the right color, instead of just painting over it. This was called dual molded, and it made a huge difference on how the minifigures looked. In 2017, LEGO put out the UCS Millennium Falcon, set number 75192, with over 7,500 pieces. It was the biggest LEGO Star Wars set ever made, and it had a great looking interior, and it costed $800. It sold out super fast. And LEGO stepped it up. In 2018, the Betrayal of Cloud City came out with 18 minifigures. It included figures that hadn't been made in a very long time, like the Cloud Car Pilot and Lobot. But honestly, if we're talking about the best years of LEGO Star Wars, we have to talk about the Clone Wars sets, because these might be the greatest run of sets this theme has ever produced. The Clone Wars TV show was huge. Millions of kids were watching it every week, and LEGO went all in, making sets based off the show, and they absolutely nailed it. Let's start with the Republic Gunship from 2013. This thing was a beast. Big, detailed, super accurate to the show, and came packed with amazing minifigures. It's still one of the most loved sets in the entire LEGO Star Wars lineup. It is also the last time we've seen a Republic Gunship. The Utapau Battle Pack was one of the best battle packs ever made. It came with two 12th troopers that were very accurate and detailed, and it came with two 12th airborns, and the build was pretty good for what it was. This set costed $13 when it came out, and getting all these clones for $13 is absolutely incredible. Another great set from the Clone Wars is the Republic AV-7 anti-vehicle cannon. This set is the only set to come with Phase 2 Wolfpack troopers, and they are highly desirable in the secondhand market. And let's not forget about all the battle packs. LEGO made a bunch of smaller, cheaper sets during this time that came with 4 clone troopers or droids, and they were perfect for army building. The clones in these sets were peak. The Phase 1 and Phase 2 clone troopers had helmets that were clean, sharp printing, accurate armor colors for the different battalions. These figures were so well done, and fans still hunt for them on the second market. What made the Clone Wars sets so special was that LEGO wasn't just making sets to sell as toys. They were clearly made by people who watched the show and cared about getting the details right. The ships looked like they came right off the screen, the minifigures matched the characters perfectly, and there was so much variety. Ground vehicles, starships, battle packs, big sets, small sets, something for every budget. It felt like LEGO and Star Wars were the perfect team, and for a few years there, they really were. Set after set, LEGO was delivering. The prices felt fair for what you got. The minifigures were well made and accurate. The builds were creative and fun. This was LEGO Star Wars at its very best. And then, things started to change. It didn't happen all at once. It was more like a slow slide. But if you've been collecting for a while, you probably noticed it. Something feels off. Something is different. Let's break it down. This one seems like a small detail, but for Clone Trooper fans, it's really hard to ignore. A lot of Clone Troopers in the show wear helmets with attachments on them. Things like rangefinders, visors, little pieces that clip on the side of the helmets. To make that work, LEGO added helmet holes on the side of Clone Troopers so you can plug those attachments in. That sounds fine, right? The problem is, the holes are in the wrong spot. If you actually look at the Clone Troopers in the Clone Wars show or the movies, the attachments sit in the very specific place on the helmet. But the holes LEGO put on the new helmets don't line up where those attachments should go. So when you put a rangefinder on, it looks off. Doesn't match the character, it breaks the whole look. And those holes are there even on basic clone troopers that don't have any attachments on them at all. So now you have those random holes sitting there on the side of the helmet that aren't supposed to be there. And they don't look clean, they don't look soothing, it's distracting. Fans who build clone armies, and there's a lot of them, notice this right away. When they're buying 20 of a big clone trooper to build a display, those misplaced helmet holes are staring at you in the face on every single figure. It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder if anyone at LEGO actually looked at the source material closely. The next problem is printed waist capes. A lot of clone troopers and other small figures wear small capes that hang around their waist. These are called waist capes, and for years LEGO made these out of real fabric, a tiny piece of cloth that wrapped around the figure's waist and hung down naturally. It moved around, it looked great, and it gave figures tons of personality. At some point, LEGO decided to stop doing this. Now instead of a real fabric waist cape, they just print on capes directly on the figure's legs. It's flat, it doesn't move, and it's part of the plastic, and it looks terrible. And the reason LEGO decided to make this change is they said that minifigures couldn't sit down properly. The fabric of the waist cape was going to get in the way if you tried to place the figures inside a vehicle or a cockpit. Here's the problem with that excuse. Minifigures could already sit down with the fabric waist capes. Fans were putting clone troopers in gunships, ATTs, Republic fighters for years with no issues at all. The fabric waist capes were small enough that it was never really a problem. So the whole now they can't sit down explanation just doesn't hold up. And when you put the two versions side by side, the difference is very clear. The printed version looks flat and cheap. The fabric one looks like an actual piece of clothing on the figure. It's a small change that makes figures feel worse than they used to be. And the weak excuse LEGO gave for this makes it even more frustrating. LEGO has always re-released popular characters in new sets, and that's totally normal. But here's the problem. The newer versions are often worse than the older ones. We're talking about things like simpler designs printed on the torsos and legs, wrong colors on the helmets and armor, clone troopers missing details on their chest plates that older versions had, and in some cases the legs used to have printing on them, and now they're just plain colored plastic. It's hard to see LEGO make a C-3PO with dual molded legs on a keychain, but not include it in a $1,000 set. And even with characters like Padme, back in the 2013 Gunship, she had a correct face design with the mole matching Natalie Portman. But if you look at the brand new Gunship that released in 2022, this figure is missing the mole. It is just something that is small, but they had it in the past, so why can't we have it now? I think it's because LEGO is just penny pinching. The more times a figure goes to the printing machine, the more it costs to make. So if LEGO prints fewer details, it costs them less money. Fans have been putting old and new versions side by side and showing exactly what's been lost. A clone trooper from 2024 is less detailed than one from 2016. And that should never be how it is. Things are supposed to get better over time, not worse. And the fact that LEGO is charging more than ever, why are we getting worse products? And the last reason why I think it's getting worse is the Smart Brick. The LEGO Smart Brick was really hyped up, and I honestly was happy for it at first, but then I figured out what it actually was. When they first introduced the Smart Brick, I thought it was going to be something that made the figures better. If you could have iconic voice lines from the Star Wars movies in the set, that would be awesome. But in reality, the Smart Brick makes terrible noises that are not even close to what you hear in the movie. LEGO had to compromise on a lot of the sets in order to fit the Smart Brick in. And lastly, the price. The price of these sets are extreme compared to what they would be if they didn't have this in it. I think the idea behind the Smart Brick is good, but the actual execution of it is terrible. And the figures in the Smart Brick sets, they have trash cans printed on the side of them, and you can't take them apart. But why does all this matter? I know what you might be thinking. Dude, they're toys. Relax, they're meant for kids. And yeah, I get that. But for a lot of people, LEGO Star Wars is more than a toy. It's something they grew up with, it's a hobby, it connects them to memories of when they were kids. The adults buying these sets today probably had LEGO sets when they were young. They remember how good those old sets felt. They know what LEGO used to do when they really cared about their consumer. So when someone spends $60 on a set today, and the minifigures and the builds aren't as good as the ones we got for $40 10 years ago, that stings. It sends a message. And that message is, we know you'll buy it no matter what, so why do we have to try hard? That's what the decline's really about. Not one big disaster, just a bunch of small choices that slowly chipped away at what made LEGO Star Wars so good. But let me know what you guys think about the current state of LEGO Star Wars. Leave a comment down below. And if you like the pacing of this video, click this video up here. But if you want something more fast paced, click this one. Alright, bye guys.